Welcome back to The Price of Business. I am your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. You know that music. Taxman Bob Loeser is here. He's in the house. Delighted to have him, as always, on the program. And we're already in the second month. Can you believe that, of this year?
Good morning, Kevin. Yes, we are already into February. Our firm has gotten over 65 corporate returns already done.
Wow.
And out of the way, with the thought that the next step will be in about a week and a half. Personal returns coming in by the dozens on a daily basis.
So, is that faster than usual? Is that more than usual?
We're about 10 ahead of where we were a year ago. But the thoughts are that we get ourselves well prepared so that when, particularly work we do on a quarterly basis for our clients, at year end, we're within 3 adjustments and a half an hour of being able to modify those financial statements and prepare a tax return, rather than having to wait weeks or months because we're waiting on the information.
What do you attribute that to? Why are people so motivated this year?
That statement that you always make about preparation.
Yeah.
Okay. It's that. I mean, it's the fact that if you're prepared for what to expect in the coming weeks and months ahead, then the clients aren't calling you going, "Where's my return? It's due March 15th."
Yeah.
Well, it's January 28th. Here's your return. We got a brand new client recently. And he said, "So you'll have my return by the first week in March?" And I said, "No, I'll have your return by the first week in February."
Wow.
And delivered it yesterday, and he wrote me a check on the spot. He was so amazed that we had gotten. And that was a new client that we didn't have the pretense of being able to plan ahead for the whole year. We had about 20 days to plan ahead, and it worked out well.
So you got to love that,
yeah.
Being able to pace yourself a little bit instead of, feeling like we're in the last week of a semester, right?
Right.
And not no fault of your own.
Right. But it also gives us the ability that if something comes along where you come in and say, "Hey, Bob, we'd like you to handle our work. I realize it's March 7th. Can you get our corporate return done?" If we're prepared to do it, then yes, the answer is yes, rather than putting you on extension, which a lot of firms will do.
Yeah. So, what people, one of the things I like to do whenever we get you in the studio is kind of give us a benchmark of where people should be. What kind of things should they be focusing on?
Well, one of the
first week of February.
Right.
Where should they be?
Over the weekend was the deadline as to when employers and others had to send out their 1099s, 1098s to customers' clientele. Now, the brokerage firms got sort of a rebate 2 years ago. They don't have to send you your transactions, your dividends, interest income, stock gains and losses until the 15th or so of February. And expect you won't get it until the 15th of February if I know them quite well. And then what they'll do is after they send it out on the 15th, they'll find errors and they'll amend it, and you'll get another one on the 28th of February saying this is the revised amendment to the first one that you got. So for those that have brokerage accounts, be patient, because that's what's going to hold you up on your income taxes. But also be prepared that the Obamacare has some questions to ask you on your return that you must answer, having to do with, are you covered by health insurance? And if it's yes, there's a couple other questions you need to fill out. If the answer is no, like we've got a recent student, a graduate of college, out on her own, mom doesn't have insurance on her. About 20% of her refund was absorbed by, quote, a penalty because she didn't have Obamacare health insurance.
Incredible.
Okay? And so for all those people that it's helping, all right, for those people that can't afford it, not only can't they afford it, but the refund is cut by 20%.
Let me ask you about, the situation out there. What are some of the pending issues that you think are driving financial decision makers when it comes to businesses today, particularly small to medium-sized businesses?
Well, I think in any quarter, but this being the first quarter, the unknowns around the corner as to what is my corporate tax situation going to be like, how much am I going to owe? 2, here we are in the state of Texas with the franchise. How is that affected? How much will I have to pay by May? And those are 2 tax burdens that if you have to set aside $30,000 between now and May 15th, that's a big decision on whether or not you're hiring, whether or not you're expanding your warehouse, whether or not you're purchasing new equipment, et cetera. I think also the fact that if you are over the 50-person limit for health care and Obamacare, all right, and can't stay under it, that's another cost, major cost that you have to deal with, and you can't pass it on to the consumer.
Yeah, not easily. And still maintain your competitiveness.
I mean, if I had a 50-member staff and I had to pay for health insurance, I couldn't take a $450 tax return and charge them $800. They're going to go somewhere else. They're going to go to a firm that has less than 50 people because that firm doesn't have to worry about health care and Obamacare.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you look at the situation in terms of attitudes, you got these new clients and you've got really responsive clients. I imagine a lot of that has to do with discipline and training them, which is really important.
Correct. It's communication. It's them knowing in advance what to expect out of them, what you need out of them, and instead of last minute them getting you the work, you give them, hey, a week or so. Hey, I need this by next Wednesday. I need A, B, C, D, and E. I need your copy of your W-2s that ADP or Paychecks provides for you. Oh, okay, I'll do that. I need this from. Okay, fine. And you piece those together. And one of the reasons why I do that in preparation of our tax returns is you don't know, and heaven forbid you're ever audited, but, I mean, the scale right now is less than half of 1% of corporate partnership and trust returns are audited. So that means if we're doing 400 a year, okay, that means less than one is being audited. All right? And so, but we do all the backup that we've got bank statements. We've got copies of things. So if the IRS comes back.
That's incredible.
The IRS comes in and says, oh, we want to see this. I don't have to go back to the client and go, can you pull 2009's information or 2012's information on A, B, C, and D? They don't know where it is, let alone if they still have it in storage.
Yeah. So let me ask you about attitudes about those clients. When it comes to looking at the economy, especially with the gas situation, which is both a two-edged sword, isn't it?
It's a double edged, but I think we've seen this week that U-shaped rebound is coming back, that they call it. It got down as low as 45, and yesterday it got as high as 53.5.
Yeah.
Okay. And, there's a thought that it's going to settle between 65 and 75.
Wow.
All right. And 65 and 75 is not that bad. No, it's not 100, but does it need to be 100?
Yeah, well, 100 was killing us as well.
I mean,
that was showing up in the grocery stores and everything else.
I mean, I don't know about you, but my gas tank used to be $70 per pop, and it's now $48 a pop.
Yeah, you must have a big vehicle.
So, no, it's a small vehicle. We just store the gas in the back. No.
It's a highly flammable vehicle.
No.
What about the fact that with 30 seconds left, Mitt Romney has decided not to run?
I think it was a very noble move on his part to step aside and let the, use the term younger generation, maybe step in and take the ball. You
kind of have a smirk on your face.
Take the ball and run with it. Well, I mean, three times is a charm, but I don't think it would have been this time. He still had to convince the people that he isn't arrogant and snobbish, which he isn't, but he comes across as being because he ran a multi-million-dollar company and, et cetera, et cetera, while the current president has never even run a lemonade stand.
Right.
So, and see how the government is working here, right?
Yes. Absolutely. Okay. His name, of course, is Bob Loeser. We love having him on the program. Always excellent insight. And you can learn more by emailing him at taxmanbob@pdq.net. That's taxmanbob@pdq.net. Your number?
713-953-1272. 713-953-1272.
Love our visits. Always miss you in between them. Look forward to having you back on right here on The Price of Business.